Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, here is a quick look at what lies ahead. When Maya's sister decided to mock her single status during a crowded family dinner, she thought it was just another harmless holiday joke. But Maya was hiding a life-changing secret. She had been happily married for nearly 2 years. And when her family attempted to secretly use her professional reputation to save their collapsing empire, she had to make a choice between enabling toxic loyalty and standing up for her own integrity. Here is Maya's story. My name is Maya Vance. I am 34 years old, and by the time my older sister raised her crystal glass at our annual Christmas dinner, I already knew she was planning to turn me into the evening's entertainment. Still single at 34, Maya? Chloe said, raising her voice just high enough for every cousin, aunt, and visiting guest across the table to stop talking and look over. Must be so quiet spending another holiday completely alone. The quiet laughter followed right on schedule. My mother, Evelyn, chuckled into her napkin, waving a hand as if declaring humiliation, harmless, made it magically vanish. Oh, Chloe is just teasing you, my mother said. I set my glass down softly on the tablecloth. Don't worry about me, I said, keeping my tone completely even. I've actually been married for almost 2 years. My mother froze mid-toast. Chloe's smirk instantly collapsed. My father, Arthur, stared at me as though he had suddenly realized he was missing several chapters of his own family's history. Married? A cousin asked from the end of the table. To who? I looked down at the glossy corporate pitch deck sitting directly beside my mother's plate. The exact redevelopment proposal our family had spent 6 months putting together to save their failing business. You already know his name, I said. You've been begging his firm for a meeting since last spring. The entire room went dead silent. Chloe reached out to snatch the pitch deck away, but I placed my hand on it first. There was something else they didn't know yet. That proposal contained my confidential professional research, my credentials, and a digital signature I had never authorized. By the end of that night, my family would learn who I had married, why I kept him a secret from them, and how far their favorite daughter had gone to fake her own success. For 3 generations, Vance Restoration Group had restored historic landmarks across the Midwest: theaters, old railway terminals, civic centers, and city libraries. By that Christmas, the company still looked prestigious from the outside, but behind the grand photos were overdue subcontractor invoices, heavy loans, and a management team that preferred high society appearances over harsh operational truths. My father, Arthur Vance, was a master craftsman who completely froze whenever confrontation arose. My mother, Evelyn, ran client relations and treated every internal crisis like a PR issue that could be swept under the rug. And my older sister, Chloe, was the creative director, the golden child who excelled at turning charm into authority, even when someone else had done all the heavy lifting. I grew up as the dependable daughter. I checked the numbers, solved behind-the-scenes emergencies, and was promptly forgotten the moment the crisis passed. I chose not to join the family firm. Instead, I built my own career as an independent acoustic engineering consultant. The specialist design teams hire when a performance hall looks beautiful but sounds completely echoing, or when a courtroom fails to carry speech properly. My work combined physics, material science, and long nights inside empty buildings listening for structural flaws. My mother called my career sound decorating. Chloe told people I adjusted speakers for a living. They routinely mocked my profession, until they needed my contacts, my reports, or a personal introduction to a municipal board. When I helped them, Chloe publicly claimed I was simply supporting her creative vision. When I turned down unpaid labor, my mother scolded me that family loyalty shouldn't come with conditions. 3 years ago, I met Julian Thorne during the restoration of the Grand Marquis Theater. Julian was a structural engineer and founder of Thorne Urban Renewal, an investment firm known for revitalizing historic public architecture. Our first meeting was a heated debate over whether a plaster dome could handle modern acoustic baffle systems. He came back the next morning with new structural calculations and hot coffee. I brought back a computer model showing we were both half wrong. That became our dynamic: challenge, proof, adaptation, and deep respect. I told my family almost nothing about Julian because they treated private information like shared currency. Chloe had once gone through my phone, found private messages from an ex, and repeated them at a holiday gathering for laughs. My mother defended her then with the same line. "She's just joking." Julian understood my need for boundaries. 18 months before that dinner, we married in a quiet reading room inside a historic library he had helped save. There were 8 guests, simple cake from a local bakery, and zero family drama. I wore my wedding band on a chain under my shirt on work sites for safety reasons, and over time, it became a habit, one my family was too self-absorbed to ever notice. When Vance Restoration Group decided to target the Apex Terminal redevelopment, a massive project that needed a major capital partner, Thorn Urban Renewal was the main investor reviewing bids. My family didn't know Julian was my husband. They also didn't know I had already reviewed their pitch package and spotted entire sections of my protected research inside it. At the dinner table, after my revelation, the silence was heavy. A cousin slowly lowered his phone, realizing the family joke he was filming had taken a drastic turn. Chloe recovered first, forcing a strained laugh. "Very dramatic, Maya. Who is he?" My father stared at the gold lettering on the pitch deck beside his plate. "Thorn Urban Renewal Partnership Review. Julian Thorn," I said. "We were married 18 months ago." Chloe's hands tightened around her wine glass. "That's impossible." I unlocked my phone, opened my private album, and placed a photo in the center of the table. Julian and I stood in that historic library, sunlight streaming through the stained glass behind us. I wore a simple white dress, and Julian wore a dark suit. 8 people were in the background. None of them shared my last name. My father picked up the phone carefully. My mother leaned in, her expression shifting rapidly from disbelief to embarrassment, then calculation. Chloe didn't look at the photo for long. Her eyes went straight to the proposal beneath my hand. "Does he know about our Apex submission?" she demanded. Not "Are you happy?" or "Why didn't you invite us?" Her first thought was the deal. "He knows exactly what your team submitted," I said. "What did you tell him about us?" Chloe snapped. "That should concern you a lot less than what you put in here about me," I replied, opening the folder to page 14. The acoustic feasibility study, the sound dampening models, and the specialized seating maps were all mine. I had created them 2 years prior for a civic arts group. The original project died when funding fell through, but my research remained copyright protected under my firm. I had shared a draft copy with my father months ago after he asked whether the old terminal could support live theater without rebuilding the interior walls. He swore he just wanted to understand the technical structural risks. Instead, my work was pasted directly into the Vance Restoration proposal with my copyright footers removed. My name was listed as Senior Lead Technical Advisor, alongside a statement claiming I had officially signed on to oversee the entire redevelopment project. Beneath that statement was a digital signature meant to look like mine. "Dad," I said, turning to my father. "Did you know about this?" My father pulled the proposal closer, his eyes widening as he read. "Evelyn, what is this?" My mother didn't look at him. She stared hard at Chloe. "It was a draft," Chloe insisted quickly. "Nothing was finalized. Maya has supported our company for years. We had every reason to assume she would be on board." "Helping you in the past is not a lifetime contract," I said. "And assuming support isn't a legal signature." My mother reached across the table, trying to pat my hand. "Whatever happened, Maya, we can resolve it as a family. There is no reason your husband should make a multi-million-dollar business decision based on a small disagreement between sisters." The hypocrisy was astounding. 5 minutes earlier, she was laughing as Chloe mocked me for being alone. Now my secret marriage was suddenly a business asset she wanted to leverage. "Julian isn't pulling out because I'm upset," I said. Thorn Urban Renewal's compliance team caught the red flags before anyone even knew Julian and I were married. My father frowned. "What red flags?" "Revenue numbers that don't match your tax filings, subcontractor commitment letters from firms that say they never signed them, financial statements listing personal guarantors who never agreed to guarantee anything, and my forged signature." My brother-in-law, who was sitting quietly, turned pale. "Wait, which guarantors?" Chloe cut him off sharply. "This isn't the place to discuss this. So Christmas dinner is the place to mock Maya's personal life, But not to discuss the paperwork attached to our assets, he shot back. My phone vibrated on the table. It was Julian calling. He knew I was confronting them tonight and wanted to make sure I was safe. I picked up and put him on speaker. Hey, are you all right? Julian's calm voice echoed through the dining room. I'm fine, I said. They know we're married, and they know about the submission. My mother immediately adopted her polished, sweet event voice. Julian, this is Evelyn Vance. I believe there's been a massive misunderstanding. A false statement backed by altered documents is not a misunderstanding, Evelyn, Julian replied evenly. That is fraud. Chloe leaned toward the phone. Maya has personal issues with how the family business operates. She isn't objective where I'm concerned. My wife's personal feelings didn't forge her signature on page 14, Julian responded firmly. Her professional integrity is the reason our legal team caught it before it created even worse liabilities for everyone involved. The word wife rang through the room. It grounded our marriage in a way they couldn't brush off as a lie. Is Thorn Urban Renewal rejecting our bid? Chloe asked, her voice cracking slightly. Our investment board will issue formal notice after the holidays, Julian said. Until then, Vance Restoration Group is strictly prohibited from using Maya's name, diagrams, or credentials. Please preserve all communications regarding this file. Any further inquiries should go through our legal counsel. Maya, let me know when you're ready to leave. I ended the call. My mother stared at me in disbelief. Maya, you have to fix this. Not I'm sorry. Not how could Chloe do this? Her instinct was the same as always. Chloe created the mess, and I was expected to fix it quietly. I stood up and grabbed my coat. No, I said. The person who created this problem is going to have to carry it. You can't just walk in here, drop this news, ruin our deal, and walk out like you're innocent. Chloe yelled, standing up too. I turned to face her. I didn't put my name on your pitch, you did. I didn't attach my signature to a lie, you did. And I didn't make my marriage a weapon tonight. You made my life into a punchline, and the truth simply answered you. I walked out to Julian's car waiting across the street. 3 days after Christmas, Thorn Urban Renewal officially terminated all negotiations with Vance Restoration Group. The city suspended the firm from municipal bidding, and lenders began demanding immediate audits. On January 4th, my mother came to my personal office holding a thick leather binder labeled Family Recovery Plan. Her proposal was absurd. Julian's firm would buy 49% of Vance Restoration, absorb a portion of their debt, and keep Chloe on as creative director. I would join the board, provide free acoustic consulting for 5 years, and publicly sign a statement calling the forged signature a clerical error. This isn't a recovery plan, I told my mother. This just shifts the financial liability onto me and my husband while protecting the person who caused the problem. 40 workers depend on this company, my mother argued, her polite facade cracking. Your grandfather built this firm from nothing. I care about those workers, I replied. Which is why I met with an independent restructuring attorney yesterday. Saving those jobs doesn't require keeping Chloe in control. I handed her my terms. Vance Restoration enters court-supervised restructuring. The commercial equipment and active project contracts are sold to a qualified employee cooperative. Chloe resigns immediately and issues a formal written retraction regarding my work. My father can remain as a salaried technical advisor, but holds no executive authority. You want to strip our family name off the building? She whispered in shock. I want the craftsmen who do the actual work to keep their livelihoods, I said. You want to protect appearances. We are not the same. Vance Restoration filed for reorganization on January 12th. My father supported the filing after discovering that my mother and Chloe had hidden multiple creditor warnings from him. It was the first time in his life he stood up to them. An internal investigation revealed that Chloe had personally ordered a junior assistant to remove my copyright logo from the project files. The assistant produced emails proving she had voiced concern, and was told I had cleared everything verbally. Chloe was barred from serving as an officer on city contracts for 3 years. The company's assets were purchased by Archway Restoration Partners, a new cooperative formed by 36 of the firm's former tradespeople. My father took a paid technical advisory role with them. working quietly without the burden of family politics. Months later, Chloe sent a formal retraction letter to every industry organization she had submitted my work to. Attached was a short private note. I kept thinking that if everyone saw you as lesser, they wouldn't notice my own failures. I was wrong about what that did to you, and what it turned me into. I don't expect your forgiveness. I acknowledged her note through my lawyer. An apology is meaningful, but it doesn't mean immediate access to my life. 1 year after that Christmas dinner, Julian and I hosted a small gathering in the same library reading room where we were married. My father spent 20 minutes explaining structural woodwork to our friends. My mother joined us for dessert after quietly asking if she was invited. She had finally stopped calling my boundaries secretive. Instead, when relatives asked why they weren't invited to my wedding, she started saying, "Maya didn't feel safe sharing it with us." And we gave her every reason to feel that way. Setting down my glass at dinner that night wasn't an act of revenge. I didn't marry Julian to spite my family, and I didn't force Chloe to copy my work. I simply told the truth at the exact moment they expected me to absorb another lie. Peace built on one person's silent endurance isn't peace. It's just convenience for everyone else. Love does not require unlimited access, and forgiveness does not mean erasing accountability. If someone in your life repeatedly reduces your story to a joke, ask yourself, are you protecting the relationship, or are you just protecting the version of you that makes things easy for them? Sometimes, the strongest choice you can make is to stop being available for disrespect. Build a life that is truly your own, and let the truth collect every consequence you were once expected to prevent. Thank you for watching. All characters and situations in this story are fictional and created for narrative reflection. Remember that your peace is worth protecting.